Hey everybody, today's yoga flow is a beginner friendly, and I don't even like to say beginner, but just really like fundamentals kind of yoga practice where we're going to break a few things down, make a few poses feel a little less intimidating and maybe a little more approachable. At the same time, just get a good little bit of movement in the body, because ultimately what we're here for is not to make any specific pose look a picture perfect kind of way, but to make something feel more accessible in your body. So there's going to be a few times where I'm going to like turn to face you, a few times I'll turn to be facing side, because I want you to be able to kind of understand just different anatomical placements. But also, if you don't care about the anatomy and it feels good in your body, then like that's the most important thing. So take this as you will, and I hope that it's applicable to you in one set flow, or to take some of the movements that you like from it and apply them when and where you need them in your daily life, because I think yoga can span, it can bridge the gap between the physical and the mental in a really lovely way if we allow it, if we're open to it. So I'm not pulling out regular yoga props, I'm just using pillows. Pillows are an option. Blankets are an awesome option, just to kind of give knees some extra padding. They're great all the time, not just for like fundamentals. Also, a water bottle is a great way to also have like a version of a yoga block, just some support and stability. The more stable base your water bottle, the better it's going to serve you. So just kind of be mindful of that. But once you get your props set up around you, a mat or a towel or a semi-soft surface that you feel comfortable with, we're going to get started. This is going to be a flow, so we are going to move, but I'm going to pause. I'm going to break some things down along the way. So we'll start in child's pose. Child's pose, I love sometimes putting either a blanket underneath the knees as you come down and forward, or a blanket all the way under your knees, so behind the knees or in front of, if you need some extra kind of padding and just kind of like elevation for the hips, some support there. Pillows are another way to add some more height. And again, just a blanket under the knees too, especially if you're practicing on a hard surface at home. Doubling up the blanket can be really nice. Hips back and down. You just take whatever version that you need. Take some time. Experiment with a couple different options. And ultimately, you'll land with hips back towards your heels. Reach your arms forward and rest your forehead down on your mat. Elbows, don't worry about them being super straight in front of you. Just let them be soft and bent. Just feel the shoulders kind of soften down away from your ears. Without any added extra tension, you just let them fall where they will. And if your forehead is rested on something, maybe it's a block or a pillow or blanket or your mat, do a little rock of your forehead side to side. Just a little left to right action. Feel whatever tension you might be feeling in your forehead. Move some tissue around and feel that tension potentially soften just a bit. And take one more deep breath in where you are. And exhale your air out. Come up to a tabletop shape. Tabletop is basically your shoulders right over your wrists and your hips right over your knees. And then you might put a block or you might put a blanket underneath your knees here. When you get to your tabletop shape, we'll work towards a cow pose. So drop your belly and then think about tailbone pulling back and your heart pulling forward any amount. As you exhale into a cat pose, it's easiest to feel this rounding of your upper back. Can you find some more space through the mid-back too? Potentially even in your lower back. Drop your belly into a cow pose. This becomes your inhale. And round your spine, exhale. It's your cat pose. Cow, breathe in, super simple. Cat, breathe out. One more round, breathe in. Breathe all the way out. Now I'm going to turn to face you so you can see me here, but your palms, you're going to start to do just a little bit of work for the wrists here. So take the back of your right hand, place it on the ground, and with not so much weight into it, you just start to make a little fist and let it go. Just feel that sensation of stretch around the forearms. Little fist and let it go. And then flip the right palm back down. Go left back of your hand on the floor. I like fingertips facing me. If you prefer backwards, that's one option as well. The more weight that you put into that wrist, obviously the more tension and the more sensation you're going to have on this forearm. So just be mindful. You can put a lot more weight on the opposite side to take some of that stress away. And then from here, with both hands back down on the ground, we'll go back to the first side, but this time just flip your fingertips around. Pulse back and forward. And then turn that palm back to neutral. Other hand, flip it around. It doesn't have to be necessarily perfectly all the way back behind you or all the way flipped around to that perfect kind of 180 circle, but any amount that you can, you lean back. Remember, you can always keep more weight in the other points of contact on the ground to lessen the intensity of whatever you're working. Turn your fingertips back to neutral and then sit back on your heels. Here's another great place if you want to sit on something. You can tuck a blanket underneath your legs. It's actually more intense for me, but you can sit all the way on that with your feet and knees a little bit wider or a couple pillows. We're going to do a little bit of shoulder chest opener before we go into downward facing dog, just because it feels better in my body at least. So you'll reach both arms up above you. And then from here, reach the right arm up a little higher and then the left arm up a little higher. Reach the right and reach the left. And every time you do that, you're starting to get a little more space through the side body, letting that shoulder elevate, and then the opposite shoulder. And both arms reach up really high, circle your wrists, and then slowly let that circle start to float down beside you. And then we'll take just the right arm. Left hand will stay down beside you. Reach your right arm forward. Reach it straight up above you. And then your arm doesn't have to be locked out straight, but if it is, that's all good too. Turn your right arm outward, so the palm facing out. And then try to bring your right hand behind you. And this is where it gets really sticky. Probably really fired up through the front of the shoulder here. Once your hand is behind you, we'll reverse that circle. Lead with your pinky. And then notice the shoulder starting to pull forward right here. There's a place where it won't go any further. Allow the shoulder to externally rotate open so that you can reach your arm up in the air. And then pull it forward. And we'll go one more time. Reach forward. Turn it out, turn it open. There's a little bit of internal rotation happening here to bring your arm behind you. Notice, are you carrying a lot of tension on this side? Where can you soften? I don't remember if I said one or two more times, but this is the last circle. Good. Straight up and around. And bring it all the way down. Nice. And second side, reach your left arm forward. Remember, if you need to come out of this kneeling position, you can do this on your knees. Put more blocks behind you. One side might feel way more accessible than the other. So just kind of be curious about, like, do you write with this arm? Do you carry your bag on this side? What are some of the habits in our days that just create that inconsistency or just those imbalances without us really even noticing it? This gives us the opportunity to be curious about like how all these puzzle pieces in our body fit together and work together. We can start to be a little kinder to ourselves when we feel sore, when we feel the aches. It's never just like one acute thing. There's always something connected in our whole body. Everything connected in some way, shape, or form. Awesome. Now reach both of your arms forward once you complete that circle. When you reach both arms forward, push your fingertips forward and then shrug your shoulders back. And now I'm going to turn to face the side, but you're going to keep going. So when you turn to face, or when you bring your shoulders forward, that's protraction. When you bring them backwards, that's retraction. See if you can do this without shrugging the shoulders up. It's really just a slide forward and a slide backwards. And then can you keep your spine tall here? Last 5, 4. We're going to do this exact same thing in tabletop in 3, 2, 1. Plant your hands down in your tabletop shape. Now you might feel a little bit more open through the wrists, through the forearms, to really stack shoulders over your wrists. From here, imagine like you're pushing the ground away. So there's your protraction, like you want to push your hands down into the ground. And then keep your arms straight. Let your chest drop towards the ground. Press the ground away. Keep your arms straight. Let the shoulder blades slide together behind you. Press and release. We just have 3 more. It's a weird feeling. It's not cat and cow. And it's hard to kind of know what we're doing when we can't see our backs. So just be gentle with yourself. It comes with time. And also sometimes I don't get it every day. And I'm kind of like, all right, beginner's mindset. What can we learn from this? Walk your hands forward. Tuck your toes, but keep your knees super bent. Down dog. Notice how when you walk your arms more forward, you've got a little more space. Try to push your arms down and forward there. That same feeling of like protracting the shoulders just a little bit, pushing down and forward. My knees are pretty bent just because we don't need to straighten them just yet. Doesn't matter. You're still getting the benefits of the pose. See if you can relax through the Achilles, your calves just a bit, even with the knees softly bent. Take a slow and steady breath. Inhale. And exhale. This is very much still a strength building posture, so just one more breath in. And exhale out. Now look forward. Walk your feet closer to your hands. And then for me, like if I'm really being honest, hamstrings are still pretty tight today. It's going to take a few walks to get there. When you walk forward, eventually towards the top of your mat, bend your knees a lot. You can use like hands on pillows and blankets stacked up. Give yourself some support here. Keep your knees super bent. Head can be heavy. Eventually you kind of find this ragdoll shape is what we call it. But in ragdoll, make the posture as gentle as you can. So if you're holding here, there's a lot of extra tension in the low back. Try to bend your knees more, support your head somewhere, or support your arms somewhere. And when you support your arms and your head somewhere, you give yourself the ability to not hold on to some extra tension that just isn't necessary. We won't be here too much longer, just another couple breaths. Gently release your hands. In your ragdoll shape, you'll push down into your feet and slowly roll up to stand. Use your hands for support. Push down into your feet, legs straighten all the way at the top. So that roll up is different than a halfway lift, and we'll practice both. For now, reach your arms straight up in the air. Take an open arm twist, reach your right arm backwards and your left arm forwards. And when you do that, notice did your hips turn with you? Draw your left hip back some. Reach longer in both directions. Now reach the right arm straight up in the air. Both arms reach up through center. Take your left arm back, right arm forward. And then your hips want to go with you. So counter it, pull your right hip back. Feel the left shoulder drop down some. Now reach left arm straight up, both arms through center as your torso comes to center. Big breath in. Now this is slow. bring your hands through your heart. Bend your knees, but lead with your chest, so it's a flat back to fold all the way down. Notice with knees bent, it becomes a little bit more safe feeling in the low back. Take halfway lift, breathe in. Fold down and breathe out. And we'll do that halfway lift one more time. Halfway lift, push into your feet, lengthen your spine forward, and notice, pause here. Knees are still a little bent. Weight in the ball mounds of your feet. You've got some tension through your hamstrings. Shoulder heads back, strength in your core. It's a lot, it's almost like a deadlift, this shape. Breathe in here. Fold forward. Notice knees are still bent. This time reach forward and up. As you lift your chest, you straighten your legs only at the top. Feel the feet press down. Take your open arm twist again, right arm back. Now this time sweep the right arm down and center, reach up. Left arm back, open arm twist. Down and center, reach out tall. Fold forward, lead with your chest, butt goes back, bend your knees. Halfway lift from here, still buoyant bend in the knees. Step back to downward facing dog, and it can take a few steps to get there, that's great. When you get to down dog, lift your heels, come down to tabletop. In your tabletop, let your arms still be more forward than your shoulders. So walk the arms a little more forward or the knees a little more backwards. And then you'll just shift forward from here. So now you've increased this lever load from your shoulder all the way to your hips. It becomes a little bit more like a modified plank pose. Push into your hands. Continue to think about leading your chest forward and your elbows wrapping backwards. From here, continue to shift forward, wrap the elbows in by your sides, and lower all the way down to your belly. Awesome. For a baby cobra, my hands aren't going to move at all. They're still right where they are. Press into the tops of your feet. Tops of your feet press down. Lift your chest, cobra. Continue to press down in the tops of your feet. Push down into your hip points. Imagine your hands are glued to the mat. They stay where they are, but your heart lifts up and forward just a little bit. Can you feel the shoulder heads roll down and back away from your ears? Push down into your big toenails. One more breath. Lower down all the way. Exhale. Press up to your tabletop. Elbows stay close to your sides. Tuck your toes. Bent knee, downward facing dog. In this down dog, you might notice that you could potentially straighten your legs a little bit more. Not necessary. You can keep those knees bent the whole time. Just remember to keep the arms pushing down and forward so there's enough stability through the shoulder girdle as well as in the hips so that your ears aren't dumping way back behind your biceps, right? Because this isn't so safe for the shoulder. Push down and forward, protract the shoulders. So you want to think shoulder blades, those big bones on your back, widen away from each other. Lift your heels up high. Bend your knees. Take as many steps as you'd like towards the top of your space. Hands can lift up. Hands can be on the ground. Your lengthen halfway up from here is all at your own pace. Fold forward, breathe out. Rise up to stand. Bent knees along the way, flat back. It's like a deadlift. You rise, reach up. Open arm twist, right arm back. Down and forward, reach up, breathe in. Left arm back. Down and center, reach up tall, inhale. Fold forward, bend your knees. Let me keep your low back happy along the way. We'll go a little different from here. Halfway lift, step your left foot backwards. Notice if you're on a hard surface, go ahead and put a blanket. It's just going to be nice for your bottom knee. Back knee to the ground. We're working towards Anjaneyasana. Hands come to your top thigh. Left knee on the ground, right leg forward. Think about drawing your right hip back up. Like I literally take my hands on my hips, and then your hip points are super, super informative as a guide for like where your whole body is in space. If you're like caving into your low belly and your low back, then think about drawing the hip points upwards, frontal hip points upwards, tailbone downwards. From there, if you feel confident, you can reach your arms in the air. Imagine pushing down in the ball mount of your right foot. This pushes down a little bit more. So you get a little bit of that hamstring activation. Now from here, take an open arm twist, right arm back, left arm forward. Right arm, sweep it down and center. Big breath in, look up. Bring your hands down to the ground, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. From here, if it is helpful to put hands on pillows or anything that will give your hands a little more height, you're just gonna rock forward and back. Just really, really small rock forward and back. By now, you might be feeling like a burn in the outer right hip, and that's all good. Even through the front of your left quad muscle, that's all good. We're gonna be out of it in about 3 breaths. You're just gonna step your left foot forward and your right leg backwards in 3, in 2. Step your left foot forward, step your right leg backwards. Lower your right knee down to the mat. Back toes can be untucked or tucked, truly whatever is most comfortable in your body, hands to your thigh. You'll see on the Instagrams people in like a very low lunge. Don't worry about that. If that feels good in your body, explore it maybe, but also explore giving your body some resistance, a little bit of constriction to not go as deep as you possibly can, and just notice the benefits of that. Feel the front of your right hip pull forward and your left hip pull back. Press down into your left foot and then maybe reach your arms up. I'm still getting a very big stretch through the front of my right hip, even though I'm not going to the fullest possible lunge. Take your open arm twist, left arm back, right arm forward. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Left arm down and forward, reach up tall, breathe in. Hands come down to the ground. Hands can be on your pillows if you've got blocks. Oh, I kind of like that. Double it up. From here, just a little rock forward and back. You can also use your hand on your thigh. Like, why not? Make every pose accessible to you. You're just here for about 3 more breaths, taking that little shift forward, little shift back. You'll step your right foot forward in 3, in 2. Right foot to the top of your space, fold down, exhale. Halfway lift from here, breathe in. Fold and breathe out. Rise all the way up to stand. Reach your arms up above you here, big breath in. Slide your hands to your heart center. Now, after working a little bit of the front of the hip, we're gonna also dabble in a little bit of strength. So I'm gonna face you, but you face whichever way you'd like. Stand on your right leg. Draw your left leg up to hip height and hook your hands underneath your leg. So it might take a little fidget to get there, and that's all good. But once you get there, feel the stability of pushing down into the ball mount of your right foot. And then this is awesome. You can stay just like this. You're working so much core and stability of your standing leg, or reach your arms up. And then maybe, just maybe, left arm sweeps back, right arm forward. And you're only here for 3, for 2, foot to the floor, both arms down and up through center, reach up, hands through heart, and just switch your sides, nice and easy. Stand on your left leg, pull the right leg up, hook your hands underneath your thigh. You're creating a really similar posture to what we just did with knees on the ground. Weight a little more forward so you can feel the front low ribs down. Sweep your arms out and up if you want that added challenge. And then maybe, just maybe, right arm sweeps back, left arm forward, hugging that right leg up. For 3, for 2. Right foot down, both arms in the air, big reach up above you. Fold forward, exhale. Take your halfway lift from here. Step back to downward facing dog. You can leave your blanket if it's not in your way. Lift your heels up. Drop your knees down. Could feel nice to put them on the blanket here. From there, shift a little bit forward. I'm going to shift a little bit backwards. Lower all the way down to your belly. When you get to your belly, roll the shoulder heads back. This blanket is in my way, so I'm going to move it. But if it's not in your way, feel free to leave it. Roll the shoulder heads back. Lift your chest, Cobra. Keep pushing into the tops of your feet. Maybe this time, fingertips get a little bit lighter off of the ground. Feel that back body strength here. Press down into your frontal hip points. Can you imagine your tailbone going straight backwards? Final breath in. Lower down, exhale. Press up to your tabletop. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Breathe out. One full breath in. One full breath out. Lift your heels. Bend your knees, look forward. Take as many steps as you'd like to get to the top of your space. Halfway lift from here. Feet can be together or apart, doesn't matter. Fold and exhale. Chair pose. Bend your knees. Reach up. Reach up. First time we're in this chair shape. Don't worry about being super low in it. Lift your heart up enough that you can feel deep breathing happening. Let the shoulders soften down. Push into your feet. And as you drive down into the ball mounds of your feet, feel the outer hips hug in just a little bit. Almost like you want to pull them out apart and at the same time squeeze inner thighs towards each other. Stay for another breath in. Fold down and exhale. And now we go just a little halfway lift to step your left foot to the back of your mat. This time you don't need the blanket. You'll keep your back knee lifted. Reach your arms up. Full crescent lunge. Micro bend of that back leg. Once again, bring hands onto your hips. Draw the right hip back here. As you do so, push down more into the right foot. Lift your heart up a little bit higher. Reach your arms up. So strong here. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. This last breath in, straighten both legs. Feel that strength in your core to zipper thighs towards each other. Rebend your knee, hands to the ground. Step back to downward facing dog. Now add just a little bit of flow. High plank or to your knees tabletop. If you're in a high plank, toes are tucked, knees are lifted. Tabletop, knees are down. Shift forward a little. Lower all the way to your belly, whether you're in plank or knees down. Cobra, lift your heart up, breathe in. This time fingertips float off the ground, floating cobra. Slow breath in. Lower down, exhale out. Tabletop or high plank if you're feeling like you want to add that extra little flare. Downward facing dog, exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lift your heels up. Take the steps, the float, the hop, whatever you'd like to come forward. Then your halfway lift, elongate your spine. Fold, keep your knees bent. Make this easier on you. Chair pose, reach up tall, inhale. Feel the heels press you down, ball mounds of your feet press down. Low ribs drop down just a little. Heart lifts up just a little. Breathe in here. Fold forward, breathe out. Take your halfway lift to lengthen. Lunge your right leg to the back of your space. Keep your knee lifted, crescent lunge. Bend your back knee as much as you need. Feel the left hip draw back, hands on your hips. Feel the stability of both hip points facing forward. Left foot grounding you down. And then even with this stability, this core hugging in, as you reach your arms up, nothing changes there. So not a full back bend. Couple breaths. You can straighten your back leg if you'd like. You can go deeper in that left leg lunge, but just be mindful of left hip continuing to pull back. On your next inhale, straighten both legs. Feel how much core that takes. Lift up higher. Rebend your left knee. Bring your hands to the ground. Step back to downward facing dog. Come forward, plank or tabletop, your choice. Inhale. Lower all the way down to your belly. Elbows graze your sides. This time we're going to locust. So sweep your arms behind you. Lift your chest up. Lift your fingertips up. Maybe lift your legs up. Hip bones continue to press down. Big toes push back. Top of your head pulls forward. Big breath in. Lower down to your belly. Exhale. Hands by your ribs. Tuck your toes. Plank or tabletop, your choice. To downward facing dog. Exhale. Now from here, walk your feet a little closer together. Lift your right leg into the air, any amount. Continue to push firm into your hands. We're not going to be here too long, Bend your right knee here. Stack your right hip on your left hip. So the action of opening your hip up is through the right leg only. Nothing changes in your lower body on the left side or in your upper body. Now straighten your right leg and square your hips off. So right hip's gonna drop lower. Start to draw the right knee in towards your chest. Here's like the hardest thing I think about this whole practice. Step your right foot between your hands. And it might take a few little rocks and wiggles. From here, it's great to use blocks if you want, or pillows, or any surface you've got. Straighten and bend your right leg a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. So for me, keeping hands on the ground just means I'm bending and straightening a little less. And that's all good too. I'm going to end up facing backwards from you because our right leg is forward, but you're going to bend your right knee, windmill your arms open to warrior two. Right knee is tracking forward, and then check out your back leg. Outer left foot is pressing straight down. Roll your shoulders back and down here. Push down into both feet. And then hands on your hips, straighten your right leg for a minute. Feel this right hip is going to pull back just a little. Your left hip is going to pull forward just a little to rebend that right knee. Continue to press down into the right foot. Bring your right hand outside of your right knee. Push your knee against your hand just a little bit. So you might notice, like if I were to face you, right knee is going straight over those front toes. From here, flip your palms, reverse your warrior. Take a huge breath in. So left hand is lightly down your left leg, right arm sweeping up high. From where you are, you stay for one more full breath in and a full breath out. Come back through warrior two, and then take both hands to the ground in front of you. Plant your left hand on something and come onto the ball of your left foot. Easy twist, reach your right arm high in the air. This is our last little work on this side. Push into your left hand. Rotate your chest a little more open. Slow breath in. Float your right hand down to the ground. Step back to downward facing dog. And again, that might take a lot of steps, and that's all good. Once you get to down dog, come forward to your high plank pose. From high plank, so this is the first time I'm really breaking down high plank, push into your hands a lot. Push your heels straight back. Guide your heart a little more forward. And then imagine like you could squeeze your thumbs just a little bit together underneath you. Lower your knees down, lower to your belly. One final locust pose. Lift your heart up, sweep your arms back, lift your legs, hold for 3. Press down into the hips more for 2. And lower all the way down 1. Hands by your ribs, tabletop or plank if you're feeling it. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog, exhale. Last little bit of work on this left side. Left leg up and back. Bend your knee. Stack your hip open. And that stack doesn't have to be super big. It could be pretty minimal. Think about flexing your left foot a lot and pushing into your left hand even more. Mindful of your breath here. Slow and steady inhale. Exhale. Straighten your left leg. Can you square your hips here? Draw your left knee to your chest. And it might take a few steps, and that's okay. When you get there, hands on the floor, or for more support, straighten and bend your left leg a couple times. The next time that you bend into your left knee, you're going to windmill open to warrior two. Back foot is going to spin down to the ground. Turn your right toes a little more in than you think. And then from here, straighten out both legs, hands on your hips. Just notice where your hips are in space. They're mostly square to the your new side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Left hip drops back just a little to rebend that left knee. Just give it some space. Awesome. Left hand to the left outer hip or outer knee. Press against it just a little so that knee tracks straight over your front toes. Reach your arms long from here. Stay for a full breath in and a breath out. Flip your palms, reverse your warrior. Light on your right fingertips. Left fingertips lift you a little higher. You have one more full breath in and a full breath out. Warrior two. Arms come back to your T shape. Windmill your hands down to the ground. Plant your right hand down. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Easy twist. Reach your left arm in the air. Draw the left hip back some more. Lift your back thigh up a little higher. Final breath in. Left hand down to the ground. This time step your right foot forward to the top of your mat. Halfway lift from here. Fold down, exhale. Rise all the way up to stand. Reach your arms up above you. Draw your hands to your heart center. And then one more time, I'm gonna face you. Stand on your right foot. Draw your left leg up to hip height. Hug the hands interlocked underneath your thigh, or find a wall. The wall is great. Hand on your knee, awesome. Find how much stability you are creating through this whole right hip here. I really do encourage the use of a wall. We're going towards a figure four. Cross this ankle over your thigh, push your hips back. As you do that, you choose how much balance you add to this, how much flair you want to bring into the posture. Come back to your center awareness of focus on breath and where you can send your breath in your body to create more opening. Because ultimately, all of these physical postures, these movements, while they are good for the physical, yes, slowly come all the way back up to stand. Foot on the floor, switch your sides, opposite leg to hip height, hook your hands under you, or go for a knee hug, a wall hug. Ultimately, while all these poses are really, really good for our physical bodies, it's that added element of using breath to connect to something deeper. Figure four. To acknowledge that this automatic process in our body is something that we also have control over. That deeper inhale, the longer exhale. So that when all of the chaos around us, whether it's external or just physically like this adult game of Twister of where do you put your hand and your foot at the same time, whenever that's happening, we also have this background soundtrack of breath moving. And that background soundtrack is then the thing that we take with us off our mats. Slowly come back up, both feet on the floor. I'll turn the same way as you. Reach up, you've got a big breath in here. Last time, right arm back, left arm forward. Get really long in both directions. Down and forward, sweep up tall, breathe in. Almost like a yawn. Open arm twist, exhale. Down and center, reach up tall, breathe in. Fold forward, bend your knees softly along the way. Halfway lift from here. Step back to your high plank, and then maybe just straight to tabletop, or you keep your high plank shape. Hold for 5. We're in a downward facing dog in 4. You'll just lift your hips up and back in 3, in 2, downward facing dog. Notice in this down dog what you notice. Like notice any different sensations in your body. If the knees are bent, but it feels a little more supportive to hold this shape. Just get that connected to that very first sensation of being the beginner, this beginner mindset of learning every single little new thing with intrigue, with curiosity. Heels up high, drop your knees to the ground, swing your legs around one direction, and then as you extend your legs in front of you, maybe you keep a pillow or both pillows near you, just come all the way down to your back. Once you get to your back, right ankle over your left thigh, figure 4. If you're near a wall, putting your left foot on a wall is really strong, is really nice to anchor that foot so that you can give some resistance. Otherwise, you just stay where you are, hug your left thigh towards you by drawing your hands closer to you. Flex your right knee just a little bit away from you. And then from here, we're gonna take a figure 4 twist, unless a different twist would feel good to you. My legs are gonna stay in this orientation. Scoot your left heel, left foot a little bit over to the right, and your butt over to the right. Stamp your whole right foot over to the left. Now, rather than a deeper twist, you're actually going to use your right hand to push your knee more towards the ceiling, and your left hand maybe all the way to your right ankle. Think about tracking the right hip down, even though it's not actually going to touch the floor. You're just starting to feel this whole right side light up with stretch, with sensation. And then just like you came into it, just start to wiggle the left foot back underneath you, scoot your bum back underneath you, switch your sides. Left ankle over your right thigh, reach your hands behind your right leg or use that wall for some support. Continue to flex your left foot just to protect your knee. So think about hip bones still square, hips in the same alignment, so one hip's not hiked up if you can. You can actively draw your right leg closer to you, just knowing that's going to add intensity pretty quickly. And then from here, just stamp the right foot down, wiggle your right foot to the left, scoot your butt over to the left just a little, and then your left foot way more over to the right. Notice the ball mount of my left foot's on the ground. Knee is going to work towards the ceiling. Shoulder is going to open any amount. If you want, you can use that pressure of your hand on your knee or bottom hand on your bottom ankle. And then just begin to wiggle the right foot back under you. Scoot your body back to neutral. Bring both knees to your chest. Hold your ankles. Let your knees go wide. Or you can hold your shins. So sort of like a modified happy baby. Just let your body rock left to right. If you prefer to hold your hands behind your legs, that's great too. My very favorite way to create Savasana is to use props. And so if there are blankets and pillows around you, I totally encourage you, put some behind your hamstrings, a block or whatever you've got behind the backs of your legs. Open your legs out wide. And then think about drawing the tailbone a little further down. If you've got a blanket, you want to support your head, do so. Nestle the shoulders under you. Let your arms expand. Maybe take a few of those rocks side to side, just like you rocked your forehead earlier in this practice, the very start of this practice. Now you get to settle into rest for as long as you'd like. Let your breath be natural. Allow your muscles, your tissues, the fascia, the joints, the bones to soften. Most of all, allow the awareness center of your brain to just get that sense of relaxation all the same as your whole body. Savasana.